Hi, and welcome to another episode of Leaving the Farm with Pat and Tammy. It looks like Pat's not here yet, but I do see Katie. Katie, how are you? Typing away. Tonight we've got Bo and Rock. I'll show on with us shortly here. We're going to cover some current events and recap what it means to be a citizen of the United States of America or a product of the United States Incorporated. I hope everybody's well.
Got a lot to cover.
There you are. Oh, thank goodness. I had my laptop wouldn't even recognize my wireless or anything a little bit ago, so I thought, oh man, this is going to be another fun night.
Oh, the challenges of technology.
Yeah. How's everything going?
It's going.
Good.
How about with you?
It's been hectic. Prosecuting attorney wants to clean his hands. He's scared of the judge, and which means that he's about to lose his funding because he's not protecting victims. He's actually protecting judges, and judges aren't protected under isms, and that's the neatest part about the International Monetary Fund and the Federal Reserve. Those reserves are for reservation on rights, and as far as I know, there's no judge-ism or attorney-ism, which is quite sad for attorneys and judges because there's no funding to help them when they fall into shitholes or
sad.
Bottomless pits of hell. So
the time has come for them to fall into shitholes.
Yeah, and bottomless.
And be buried.
Yep. That bottomless pit of hell is quite inviting. Apparently, there's no net there to catch anybody who ends up slipping off the edge. So that's where we are now, and it's actually quite exciting. Last week we were going over at the end of the show some of the health information that you share. And since that time, we have that as a new classroom called Natural Healing Alternative Therapies, and it's an open discussion. And from what I'm seeing, it's just absolutely amazing. Do you want to touch on it and what you've been sharing that this past week?
Well, it's been kind of impromptu, just as, interest in different topics come up. There's a lot of really good sharers in there. They bring a lot of really various and sundry items to the table, things that aren't, so much mainstream, probably definitely not mainstream, but everything from pain relief through square wave technology. Let's see, what is that? I can't. I have to remember this. It's called the Pain Genie. That's been really interesting because of my interest in the Beck technology. I keep calling it the Beck technology. He did not discover it. He just made it available to everybody without the patent. So they're all different types of therapies that are based on waves, microcurrent and waves, and it just kind of goes along with what I've been discovering, that we really are light and electric. We're far different than what we've been taught that we are. And it's just amazing, some of this, every day something new comes to my eyes. And so it's just a place where people who are looking, for answers on things will ask a question. And then, if there's a comment and someone questions it, we go digging further to, check out various research. So it's just good. It's just a good place.
Absolutely. I've watched you and I've watched others with the Beck machine as well. And I've noticed it is very effective at treating addiction and chronic pain issues. Where, if people want to go find it, where do they find it at?
Well, I've been looking around. SOTA.com, SOTA.com seems to be the company that Bob Beck kind of handed this off to. I think they were with him when he was still alive and doing his lectures. And the lectures are really, all you have to do is just do a search on Bob Beck, Robert Beck, or Dr. Bob Beck, and microcurrent or brain tuner, the magnetic pulsar. You can find it everywhere, and there's various sites that have kind of dedicated their efforts to getting the word out. And so you can find they pretty much all these sites, I think they just point the direction to soda.com. And then there are independent people who make their own, and he did leave the schematics, and so there's other options. If he never made a dime. Dr. Beck never made a dime off of this, and that was his. That was basically his whole purpose, humanitarian purpose. So, if you're handy with a soldering iron and you can locate the little diodes and whatever, there was a company that had all of these kits put together, but they were sold to another company. I think I found them, but
I can help you there, Pat.
Ooh.
Yeah, Dr. Richard Cummers. He holds distribution for the actual Pain Genie, and there's a friend of mine, Sandy, in the U.S. that is a distributor for them as well. So the proper ones, the real Pain Genies that are, factory made, and I can point people in that direction too. So not a problem finding those. So I
was digging through the two different. They are they're similar but different. They are not. I think you said it was scalar technology, right?
Yeah, it's scalar.
Yeah, and I was looking. They're both square waves, but there's various sawtooth wave on the scalar, so it is really focused on pain, and that seems to be its major purpose, muscle tension and pain relief, and it seems to be extremely effective right away. The Beck machines or devices, the biotuner is what SOTA calls it. It's a very consumer-friendly, little plastic kind of a cell phone-sized device that you plug into, and it's clean-looking and all of that. So that will work on pain like a TENS unit. I don't think it's as seriously focused on pain as the Pain Genie. So there's just so much out there. It's great to know that there's answers. My husband using the what do they call it? The biotuner. Yeah. The biotuner is the brain. The silver pulsar is the one that was for the blood purification. And he's wiping out whatever the microbial side of cancers because the surface melanoma disappeared. So now we're just making sure that we get, the stuff and whatever could be hanging around in the system out. So it's amazing.
Absolutely, and so many people need to be aware of the natural and alternative methods of healing from the things that they've issued upon us or
issued upon us. These are all created by the system. Most of this is the majority, 99% of it is, if not all of it, environmental, the stress, the everything that you have to examine, everything that you're going to consider eating nowadays. And then you listen to the media-driven dietary, the advice that comes from, the news or whatever. They flip this thing around like every couple months or 3 months. And, for instance, canola oil. Everybody learned somehow through the air that canola oil was supposed to be like the best oil for you. And it, went on, that was the major one, and the shelves got filled with it. Come to find out that it's a machine oil. It's a machine oil that your body doesn't process out. When I learned that, I was so pissed off I couldn't even get over it. You can't trust things, even when you see, on the internet, various sites that look, maybe a comment or whatever. There are these industry. Well, they're marketers, but they're more like propagandists to redirect, a revenue, one place or the other. So whenever you hear about something and it starts, going hog wild, do some deeper research. Go, into the 10th page on your search engine and start looking, to see if you can find actual research on something that isn't
Yeah,
industry driven.
I was going to say, or anything else, something like that just happened, you know, or something came out and everyone thought it was canola oil.
Yeah.
Alluding, I'm sorry, I had to jump in there. I'm feeling.
Oh, come in anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all got what I was.
The low-fat diet is one of the most dangerous things ever. Low and no-fat diets. That's what they use to starve children in socialist Germany. You know, this was just the kids were full. I mean, you can get full eating toilet paper. But if you're starving your body of fat, you know, everything from your eyes, your joints, your hormones, everything works on that. It's there for a reason. I mean, we need this stuff. So all this low-fat stuff, people will feel the difference somewhere down the line. You will know that it was a mistake. They attribute it to cancer too now. So, you know, you just really need to check your sources.
Absolutely, and it's in everything. You know, we brought up last week about the Uniform Commercial Code being a law merchant. Part of the wares that it sells is the medical industry, and if you look at what pharmaceutical has, who do they have? They have little attorneys or farm reps that go in front of the medical professionals, doctors, physicians, and they pitch these drugs as representatives, pharmaceutical representatives. They have no idea what's in these things. They're just taught to advertise. And what we need to all do is go to the source, the FDA with the contracts with the Ethics Commission. They have the contracts to use us as human test projects. Human test projects.
Is that for real?
Absolutely, it's right at the Ethics Commission, the International Ethics Commission. You can find it at FICI, F-I-K-I now, although it's FICI, F-I-C-E. It's always been all three things, Vitae, Fice, Fide. And that is genocide since the inception of all law. And you'll find medical law and ethics commissions. You'll find medical law, ethics journals. These are all interconnected, all linked, all through the Ethics Commission to kill the Fici. And people need to be aware that genocide is lawful, legal, as far as they're concerned. It's been absolutely legally sanctioned by these attorneys, by attorney for attorney of attorneys, and we need to push back now. We need to push back now because here we are, we're subjecting ourselves to a slow and continual death to generate revenue for these idiots and minions of their God or their father, and we need to work hard to counter what they've done. Right. They are not human, and we need to counter what they've done.
You know, seeing all of the different various standards and measures that they've got on human beings, you know, just how long they're supposed to live, what, you know, each of us should be valued as. I mean, learning that was incredible because prior to finding out about this humanitarian, I mean, it's the crime of eternity. Prior to that, when you saw something happen to somebody, you know, say some fluke, you thought, well, you know, they were arrested for some ridiculous thing or something that seemed like it was going to get dismissed because it's, you know, come on. And then it turns into like this, you know, prison sentence, and no matter what they've paid for an attorney, it doesn't work out. And then you see this happen over and over again. Since I've been in your rooms, it's astonishing to see the way they come at you. You know, when you think of someone getting ill while someone's fighting a lawsuit, you know, you think that those are two separate things. And to learn it can't be this many coincidences to see, you know, this happen. Just to apply the pressure, to redirect your attention, to crush you so you give up or whatever. Absolutely, and that's part of the process. So what the average sheeple being led are taught to do, and it's a reactive behavior. When you get under the pressure of court process or legal process, and you're under the pressure of taxation and consumption, and you're under the pressure of
God knows what. It's always in 3 variants, meta, soma, veta. You're taught in this society to rush out to the doctor to help alleviate the depression upon you. Depression is a physical action. You feel depressed because you are being depressed. You're being pressed down upon.
Exactly.
The reaction that they expect, it's absolute, it's predictable. You've been taught to do this. You rush out to the doctor to get that Valium. You rush out to the doctor to get the Soma or Seroquel or
absolutely. That's
whatever
exactly
you
what
need.
they do.
And this is what's happening. And you know, within, it depends on the amount of revenue you can generate based on your insurance or your private pay method, is how long you're going to live. So you're going to suffer a long time if you're on Medicaid. You're going to suffer a long time if you're on Medicare. If you're on private pay, man, you're going to be diagnosed as terminal within 6 months. You know, as long as they can get your house, as long as they can get the toys, and as long as they can get the children, they have no qualms about killing you by any means necessary, and it's at your hand. You are choosing this. You are subjecting yourself to the medical industry. You are consenting, and you're going in there, and we need to stop this. And I urge everybody who's going through any kind of medical ailments or health disorder or mental disorder, whatever, come on Skype, come talk to us. Pat's got a great group up called Natural Healing Alternative Therapies, and it's an open discussion. And we need to get people in there. She can show you the research. She can show you the natural alternatives. You know, we're not medical professionals. We're not advocating medicine. I'm not practicing medicine. But we need to get everybody learning and realizing what's real, realizing there's another way that's better, and in order to cut the system off at the knees, you actually have to cut it off. You can't stop going into court on one end and then go to the doctor on the other. You know, we've got to all get together and hold each other up during this time, because it is hard, it is stressful, it is depressing, it is sad, it is heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
But as long as we're together, it's not so bad. You know, I've been watching the classes, and it's just lively. It's friends, it's community getting together and conversing about these bad things, but in a way that it's not so bad because everybody spread the burden of it.
You know, I'd really like to see, people who are breaking away or learning how to break away from the system and dependency on it, or, believing that medical is the only, the big pillar of truth. All of the media propaganda over the years and the way that we've become so attached to the television, people, they blast drug ads, they blast, hospitals and different medical groups and all of this stuff, 24/7, and you're taking it in all the time, so that over time, that with just basic propaganda and then the pressure and societal pressure. I remember mentioning to one friend that my husband was not going to go through chemo or anything like that, and she just went berserk. She just started really applying the pressure, and I just had to, tell her thanks, but drop it, drop it, because I'm not. And he, I told him, don't tell your friends about this. Don't tell your friends that you're doing hydrogen peroxide, you're doing colloidal silver, boosting your immune system, you're, eating vegan so that your pH is alkaline, and that you're, using this, Beck device. If you tell them that, they're going to put pressure and fear into you. And so, that is what's got people so, afraid to let go of their insurance. If they kept their premiums, and, come on, think about that. When I was insured through an employer, it still cost like $300-400 a month. And, if that, that was like such a con game. Such a con game, because I didn't even use it, and so you're just throwing this away, and you think, well, I have to have it, but that was like for a 6-year period of my life. The rest of my life has never been with any insurance, and it isn't now, and it's like there is no worry or fear. I'm healthier now than when I had the insurance, which is kind of scary again to think about.
Right, that's the expected result, and overall, you're going to work all your life. You're going to pay for those insurance premiums, and when it comes up time for you to retire, if they have research, go look this up. We've got retirees are just prone. The way that they maintain the research, it looks like it's an epidemic that attacks you. Death attacks retirees. Death attacks pension holders, and if you look at the other side, you'll see that there's death derivatives in this. There's death derivatives in everything. That they're hedging the bets. The sickest thing is there's death derivatives in pension risks, of living too long. Now, you, the human being, are called a pension risk. You are a threat to pensions. You are a threat to pension trustees. That is not a good thing. That is a horrifying thing, and all of this research, that is evidence of genocide. Every bit of that research into every time pensioners start to die, the minute they retire, hello, something is wrong. This is genocide. That is evidence of genocide, and they need to be held accountable for this. They are slaughtering our elderly. They are slaughtering our babies. They are slaughtering the weakest amongst us. This week in Ohio, a mother had taken her children out of state, and the man was suffering from terminal cancer, of course, because, he's going through the stress of a divorce. He's medicated. His attorney finally gets him some visitation, and he died before he could see his fucking kids. Now, his attorney needs to be held responsible for this shit. She's going to be held responsible for this shit, but those children are now falling back on the system because the mother's been determined it's nuts. Now, where do those children go? They go right into the hands of the pedophiles. Everybody needs to wake up right this second, right now, and stand. We're freaking tired. Katie said this 2 weeks ago. We're tired. I'm exhausted. I haven't slept that well since Friday because of the hell we've been under, but I still get up and I still do this, and we still go forward. I didn't choose this.
Tammy?
Yes?
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to throw a bit of hope at people, and I'm also going to throw. I'm going to throw a bit of responsibility too. Yeah, we're tired. We're very tired. I had to give up my dog this week because I couldn't keep her where she was, and it wasn't fair to her. And as you know, I had a little issue with the car, engine failing, so I have to get a new engine. And Gabby came to my rescue, and I came to hers. She's going to a good home, and it's going to help out. Wasn't a nice trade, but it was a trade that had to be made, universe delivered, in a very, very strange way. And the bottom line is this: I'll give you guys some hope, all right? Even after this week, I don't know how many people will do that, but whatever.
Look at you.
The simple fact that I'm breathing right now and standing where I'm standing is absolute protection that they cannot commit genocide, because they cannot, in an epidemic fashion, because they cannot risk killing me. You see? Because you kill the awakened, the whole game goes down. So I go down, your shields go down, guys. And I've had enough nails thrown into me through this cross that I'm carrying. It's mine. I chose to carry it. But I am you, and you are me. And all I'm asking for, I'm not looking for anything from anybody. I do this day in, day out, have for over 5 years. The last 3 years, I've really only been awake for the last 3 years. But I've been harping on the whole name thing for the last 2 years, step out of Babylon. And, people are too busy worshiping the Federal Reserve notes. Here's where your back is to the wall in a pure survival sense, in that, while you guys are feeding the beast, giving it CPR every time you step into a courtroom, someone like Tammy can, because she's shutting the damn thing down properly and putting the right things out there. And what Tammy's doing, and Bo and others, what they're doing effectively is peeling off the last layers of a system that's collapsing. And what Tammy is doing is critical. What I've done is critical. What you all are going to do or have done is critical. Now, those that haven't done anything, and I'm talking, it's really, really great. I was listening to an interview on another radio station, and the host, to a arrogant fuck that will remain nameless, thought, well, I'm not going to go out and do what Dean Clifford does and the rest of them, because, spend all your time in court and, in jail and stuff. And I said, well, I'm glad you're happy sitting on your fucking ass talking about it. At least it gives you something to talk about on your show. Me, Tammy, Pat, the rest of us, Tony, Santo, we've actually lived it. And Dean, and he got out today, by the way. I want to make that announcement as well.
Fantastic.
He got out. We had it confirmed, and through one of my sources, and I wasn't going to announce anything until that was confirmed with that individual, because there's a couple of things that are going on around that camp that we're investigating, as far as moles and whatnot. So, oh yeah, they're everywhere. The false prophets are everywhere. They'll come out and wave all these carrots. I don't know if you caught the Arthur Christian video that him and Fiona did, Tammy, but he was urging people to listen to last week's show of yours and Pat, and what we were talking about with regards to co-opt-in, and might as well call it what it is. And I tell you, I got one more fucking opt-in. Hey, have you opted in yet? I'm gonna start laying fictitious charges on people for aiding and abetting and fraud. If you don't understand the UCC, better yet, if you don't understand what a legal fiction is, you don't know who you are. Go back to sleep. Take your sleepy pills. Suck down a bottle full of blue ones, because you obviously can't handle the one red one that's probably going to choke you to death anyway. So, what you guys are hearing from me right now, I'm talking to the listeners, what you're hearing from me right now is my sense of pity for you if you haven't done anything and are still unwilling to do it. There's nothing that I, Tammy, or Pat, or anybody else can do. We've already done what we can, and we're going to continue to do while we can. And if we have to fall by the wayside because we stand in that, then that's your fault, not mine. And it's funny, and I got to say this. We had Karen McDonald on last night. There's someone you need to hook up with, Pat. What a beautiful being.
Listening.
Oh yeah, you guys are right up the same alley.
Yeah, the Soleil. I was really surprised. I had just put some information about a Soleil into the room, and she was talking about that. It was great.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, last night, the point I'm going to make is this. We talked about the universe delivering and taking care of those that are doing this, that, and the other. And based on my situation right now and the shit that keeps flying at me in an attempt to crush me, I'm sitting during the show listening, and I'm going, I feel absolutely worthless, because obviously nothing I am doing has any value if this creation is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, but in that regard, it doesn't matter. I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm not looking for rewards in this. If I was, I wouldn't have started doing this. I would never have walked this road, because I'll tell you, until everyone wakes up and starts acting and doing, stepping away from Babylon, you guys are, every one of us that falls, you're guilty of murder.
Well, I was trying to go to that place too. I took a side trip, but if people could just, contribute what is possible and step out of the fear and the comfort box, there is such a joy in knowing that you can have a part in taking this vile system down, and the sooner, the better. The more of us, the stronger we are. It's really simple for people to put other people, oh, that's not me, that's not my family, I don't know them, and just, flip the channel. But, your time is going to come.
Absolutely.
This isn't a select few. This is a continual raising.
Absolutely, and it's in three variants, and the simplicity of the thing is stop informing. Okay, now you have Crime Stoppers, and you have hotlines, and you have Adult Protection Hotline, you have Child Protection Hotline. Take care of it yourself. When you witness with your own eyes somebody beating on somebody else, beat the hell out of them. If you witness with your own eyes somebody harming a child, beat the hell out of them. Teach them the lesson. The law merchant and these judges are pimps. And when you go into court and you're standing there and somebody is charged with child abuse, rape, domestic violence, They have a pimp up there in a black dress. He is renting the ability to abuse that person. That is called injury. That victim has been injured. And that judge and that prosecuting attorney and the other attorneys in the room are renting that victim to whoever abused it. Now you tell me where the law is in this. This is what the law merchant is. We are renting each other to abusers. The pimp is the judge and prosecuting attorney. Stop prostituting each other. Stop hotlining. Take care of it yourself. If somebody's abusing children, take a bat to them. If somebody's raping women or children or men, take a bat to them. It's
uniformed or otherwise.
Yeah. Well, back, before all of these insults came into our world where we were so controlled and afraid and all of that, we did take care of each other. Community did take care of each other.
Absolutely.
If there was a child molester, that person got taken care of. People inform.
They used to get lost in the woods, hunting accidents. Dick Cheney tried this with an attorney. Apparently it failed, but Dick never got charged with anything either.
Right.
Okay.
In fact, his victim actually apologized to him.
Absolutely. That's called Stockholm Syndrome. What does Dick Cheney have on that guy?
Good question.
He's got some really bad skeletons in his closet because he was attempted on and apologized to his freaking attempted murderer. Now, what does that tell you? What kind of skeletons does he have in his closet as an attorney?
And I saw something today that kind of drove home just how permeated we are with false images and false stories, things that are produced by the government and put on the news, sent out to stations, put on the news without any disclaimer, to basically bend public consensus and opinion. In any other place this would be called, propaganda, but nobody's saying it. We are subject to people acting things out and creating political sides, this and that about various things. It's really scary when you think about this. I mean, if it didn't have the red, white, and blue on it, you would say this is Nazi Germany. If these things were done, the cancer mill, where a very small percentage gets a reprieve for 5 years waiting for the other shoe to drop, and the rest end up dying after miserably going through, estate raping treatments, we would look at that and say, well, how could any industry with that kind of a failure rate still be in existence with funding in the, billions? How could this still be possible? Because they're looking at success from a different point of view. The treatments, they're raking it in. They're raking it in and then begging you to put another dollar into the, pink ribbon box or whatever. One more dollar for the cure. When we know out there are so many various things that will rewind and cure that that disease, whatever that they've created. I've seen a doctor actually go through all of the vaccines from back in the 50s on forward, and actually tell you what's in these things, and I should find that video and the name. It's really worthwhile. It's something about the epidemic, immune epidemic. It's really eye-opening, really eye-opening.
Well, if you go to naturalnews.com and research natural news, I really like that source for myself as well. There are 750,000 people in the United States every year dying by prescription drug accidents or overdoses of what it brings to the table. Now, I'm from small towns, like 38,000 people, maybe 100,000 people. I think Spokane had 200,000 people. Well, when 750,000 of us are dying every year, that's upwards of almost 1 million people, and it's like wiping out 3 Spokane, Washingtons, the size of 3 times Spokane, Washington. And people are not aware. These people are not aware of this. They're not aware of accidental hospital deaths. This is almost 1 million human beings every single year. You know, we've got over 1 million abortions being performed. We've got over 500,000 accidental hospital deaths each year. We've got a male suicide rate, a quote suicide rate of 35,000 people, males, every single year in the United States. These are small to large cities disappearing every single year. And if you don't think that Nazi Germany is presenting its head here, and you don't think that this can't happen in my country, I have news for you. Our populace, when you add up the birth rate and the death rate every single year in the United States, we've been going downwards by 3 million people every single year since the 80s. We need to do something to stop this. This is indicative of the promise of the Georgia Guidestones.
Explain that. What promise was that?
The Georgia Guidestones maintain that we should have a world or global populace of less than 500 million people. Now, in India alone, there's 2 million individuals. Here, we're supposed to have, 320 million people? We don't have that. If you've noticed, back when I was younger in the 1980s, 1990s, it was in the paper where you had the obituaries, free death notices, things like this that were conducive, to people's times of need, just announcing these deaths. Now they're charging for these issues, and they're not reporting these deaths. If you look in your local paper now, in relation to somebody that you've lost or whatever else, you're not going to see that death listed. They are hiding these rates. And what you are seeing is the most conducive to policy. And in that, you're only seeing, certain people that are being killed, and they're maintaining the rates in your mind, or the weight of consensus reality in the mind. So when they present only domestic violence perpetrated by males, you're not seeing that the majority of the perpetrator of domestic violence are females. It's not male. You're seeing just this swayed version of life that is not life. These are not truths. This is consensus reality. And even in the medical field, they're sending out the very same Delphi surveys that they send out everywhere else. Everybody's aware of censuses. They're aware of surveys that you get in the mail. Those surveys target you individually, and they're based on self-reporting measures. Now, if they don't like your answers, that one goes in the garbage. But if they like your answers and it's conducive to policy, they're going to use it in one of their little research programs. For the majority of the domestic violence research, those are sent out to domestic violence shelters. Those are not sent out to the general populace to ask and inquire about your health. What it is to generate funding so that they can get those grants and they can get those dollar bills coming in at our demise. I mean, again, when a female injured under the Violence Against Women Act goes into court, she's being pimped out. She's being rented by her abuser, and the abuser has to pay the judge and the court, prosecuting attorney, and the system the rent money on whoever the victim. We need to stop doing this and start removing these abusers ourselves, because right now, as it is, we're renting each other. This is human trafficking. It's prostitution, and we're at fault for this every time we hotline, every time we turn this in, because we're not taking care of it ourselves. We're selling these people to the law merchant. The victim and the abuser or potential abuser are renting the right to be. They're renting their rights from the law merchant. And the most horrifying is that these abusers are renting the right to abuse through a court process. And when there's catch and release, they're just making them better and better abusers. They're grooming them through the system. If they're, again, traumatized in the prison industry or juvenile justice system, they're more likely to come out and react. I mean, they've been hurt. They're going
It's like
to
the
react.
three-strike law.
Absolutely.
The three-strike law ensured that if you were the third victim, you were going to die.
Absolutely. And,
so that you could report.
Absolutely, and they're going to be better and better. They're going to be sneakier and sneakier because they got caught last time. So rather than, allowing them to run us or our neighbors or our family members, like my mother, father, grandparents, children, we need to take care of it ourselves because we do not have a protector. And you need to get that out of your head that you're being protected by something and patronizing it, and all you're doing is calling Satan your dad. And we need to stop doing that because Jesus told you why. He says, don't call it your father. Yeah, and this is the reason why. You've been looking up to and patronizing a dad that's the most horrifying abusers since the beginning of time, and it happens to be matriarchal in nature, and we need to get away from this and do something other. Hold it accountable for prostitution, for promoting prostitution, for human trafficking, for kidnapping by holding you hostage with court process. We speak about Dean being released, and I'm so thankful to see him out of the prison system at this time. We need to make sure that he stays out and that they're held accountable for his kidnapping because there was no victim. He slipped on some icy road, and so the pimp cashed in on his demise. He was rented out through the system.
With stock, too.
Absolutely, and everybody needs to be aware of these things. And, I really want to stop people from having to suffer. I don't like this any more than anybody else does. But you will suffer. If you're the one that's hotlining, you're the one that's informing on your neighbor, you're the one that's assuming that this urban pacification is something that's a good thing, you need to think twice about it and realize what's going on. For every time that you've looked across the street at your neighbor and said to yourself, he must have done something to deserve that, remember that you can be in the same position. And if you wouldn't do something to deserve that, what makes you think that your neighbor does? You need to open your eyes and start experiencing reality, start experiencing actual living relative time, and realize, look around. Every time you see something that looks that funny, ask yourself, well, would I do it? Would my neighbor do it? Have I ever seen this experience before in my life? And if so, what did I see it on? The media presents what it does in order to condition us to accept things. And we need to just focus on reality, focus on actuality.
That's like the biggest, there's like a big mask over the reality of what's happening, and it's colored in various entertainment and eye-catching graphics where your face is glued to this tube, and it tunes everything else out. Since I dropped watching the television, I think it was about 5 months ago, it's amazing how much different your brain works and how different you perceive reality. And then when you actually walk by one and see something, it's like, oh my God, look at that. You can see the bullshit. It's so clear. And I can't recommend that more highly. I really can't. Not even talking about whether or not the tube can see into your domicile, if it can hear you or whatever. Just the fact that it, causes you to go into a different state of consciousness and just take in, even if you're flipping the channels at the commercials, it's the programming that's actually, converting your mind to think that life is a certain way because you're watching these strange reality shows. And, it causes people not to interact with each other. It puts you in the mindset that, there's like the prison shows. Why do they show these prison shows? Why do they, show these people spitting through the bars and, all of the various degradation and everything? Why do they show that? Is that entertainment? Why do they show that? Is this educational? Why would you put that in your mind? It's a threat. It's telling you, obey or else.
Absolutely, and you cannot generate revenue through the medical industry without being diagnosed. And that's something else many people are not aware of. The International Classification of Diseases and Disorders is maintained by WHO, the World Health Organization, and domestic violence is a diagnosis, pedophilia is a diagnosis, anger is a diagnosis, anxiety is a diagnosis, histrionics is a diagnosis, psychopathy, narcissism.
Post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Right, everything. You rush out to the doctor, you're diagnosed, but you can also be diagnosed through the court system, and being diagnosed as an abuser or a threat or threat of harm.
Where'd you go? Oh.
I still see her on the board, so she's
Yeah.
still here. So something hiccup or whatever, but yeah. Oh no, she just got bumped from the board. Okay, so we'll go continue and.
Well, there's plenty to talk about in this. This zone.
Just a couple of things. So I got to tell you, just listening. Listening to you. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say there, Tammy, listening to you and Pat is just such a treat, and I know, just sitting in is beautiful. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, sometimes I wonder. We don't intend to just dump the problem out there, but until people actually see it, they can easily be trapped into it, and so that's kind of like, what the point is here. There were so many things I thought I understood and knew until I started seeing what actually was happening to people, one after the other, after the other, after the other, through Tammy's rooms, and how there were no coincidences or mistakes, from the health being attacked to, the legal ramifications of what they're fighting, the fraud involved in every single one of them, the fact that nobody... that you would assume that there's no judge I've ever seen do anything like lawfully. Attorneys, I've just had like the most eye-opening revelation on attorneys. Wow, you cannot trust them. You can't. But, all of this together, so many people are on psych drugs, medications, for everything from diabetes to, depression, and you cannot take a chemical and expect it to fix you because that is not a natural thing for you. That, whatever it does to stop one thing, homeostasis, it actually will cut something off in another area. So, they're maintaining a disease is what they're doing. They're trying to, stop a symptom or make a symptom livable while it's actually degenerating you.
Right, and again, depress, the word depress means to press down upon. And disorder means that you are not in order, okay? And we talk about informing on your neighbor. You're putting them into form, a politically correct state of being. Everything is written, and as you're diagnosed, as you rush to get medication for the depression, you're not seeing what's pushing on you. The law is shutting up the kingdom of heaven. The law merchant is selling you your rights and benefits. The law merchant has to take them away first. The law merchant has to steal them in order to sell them back to you at a high cost. And we need to stop purchasing. This is, I'm so...
frustrated?
Yeah.
Cut out again?
Yep, and only going it's only going to get more frustrating. No, it's not. Shields are up. All right, Tammy, so we'll wait for her to get back. And she's pretty quick on the draw, though, I'll tell you that much. It's like bam, bam, so we're just waiting for her to...
Right, well, she's lived this for 13 years.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm one of the lucky ones. I've only, In one form, I've only lived this in about 3 years, but I've nature of my being, I've been in this game, in prison for 48. So looking forward to breakout.
Yeah, and karmic retribution for all. All energy needs to come back 1,000-fold to each of us. All of the intentions. What? She got it bumped again?
Yeah, she did. So,
well, people, we talk about Tammy's process and about the executor doc taking, actually removing yourself as a share of U.S. Inc. and expatriating from the House of Representatives or the representatives, where they put you in this pending state. And then you, the forgiveness doc, which obliterates all these alleged debts, which, we know the money, the Federal Reserve notes are completely worthless. Their only value is what someone will exchange for them. And as far as, they took the gold and silver and real monies of account out of the way, so there isn't any debt. We were the creditors. We were here before corporations. All of our ancestry has had their inheritance completely ripped off. And, some people may be thinking, well, that's too drastic of a measure for me to do, to expatriate, but there are things you can do to stand where you're at. And, I know, Kate, you've learned a lot about that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So, basically, what would you think one of the first things for the maybe just completely just waking person, barely awaking?
Oh, that's such a loaded
I didn't mean to give you a loaded anything.
No, I know that's.
Well, let's talk about the names. I mean, just the posting. Posting of your name.
I was just going to say, there's only one answer I have to everything: lose the name, win the game. The only thing that's who was it? Mick in my Facebook was posting. He made a beautiful point about the name, and write that name down on a piece of paper, and then ask the piece of paper if that's you. And if the paper answers you, he didn't finish it, but I know the concept he was at. And I said, well, if the paper answers you, then I guess it is. And if it doesn't, well, I guess it isn't. So, that's why I know in my position, doing what I have done, so very few would go to this extent of, in literally, having everything in my life completely destroyed. That's how the system likes to work. They really don't like people awakening, and they like to marginalize, and that I call it the slow crucifixion. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that stops those nails from getting hammered in are the people that are listening. You guys are helping with the nails every time you feed the beast. Everyone talks about, well, how do I survive without a bank account? Well,
I've been doing it.
Yeah, and I was going to say, why is that our problem? Why are you making it our issue when it's you that are trapped in Babylon? You walk around with ID. It's funny. I talk to people, regarding certain things, and they just don't get the concept of, trying to actually, never mind operate, but actually live day to day in a system that is completely, impossible, and it's made that way. And you get creative, and you get desperate, and you get hungry, and you get cold, and you get homeless, and you get all sorts of things.
If people would actually just, throw one of those Federal Reserve notes to someone who is actually helping them learn, feeding them, to give them more courage to and information. People try to think that it's okay, I can't afford this, it's things are tight or whatever. But there are so many people who are just in such serious situations, and Kate, you've lived through these things, and by the grace of God and just the benevolent energy of the universe, somehow you've managed, but not without the scars. And I hear some of these things, and it just tears me up that this should not be an issue. This should not.
No, it
be
shouldn't.
An issue.
But that's what I was saying earlier about obviously what I do is completely worthless. I think back. I spend a lot of my.
It infuriates me to hear. It's not true at all.
No. This is the responsibility of people listening. I've had a few people help out here and there, to a level that I would have been dead 2 years ago had I been dependent upon the fact that maybe what I'm saying is useful and people, can use it. And I know they can if they actually listen to what we're saying. But again, it's I am at the mercy of creation, and I have not a problem in the world with that. If creation wants the end of me, fine. If creation wants me to continue, fine. I just walk my path and I keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, there's a point in each of our lives where, if you're awake and aware, that you come to terms with that big scary thing, And
Pat, the choice is easy, but most people cannot make it. They would rather walk around being liars. And here it is in a nutshell. I can make it really easy for people. You've got that voice inside of you that says this is the right thing to do, this is not the right thing to do, and you know that, you feel it. This is intuitive. It's like you're screwing somebody over in some way or another. If you're seeking profit or benefit beyond what is really there, looking at it from the me perspective. So what the individual, which is all right collectively, what they have to come to terms with is actually listening to that compassionate heart voice and saying, I found this really cool truth. It resonates and it's pure, and I'm going to stand in it. And that's the only choice you have to make. And I'll tell you, when you're walking around in this crazy place, where everyone's out to screw everybody over, and what about me? What about me? What about me? Good luck. And this is why that's why so very few will awaken. And that's okay. They want to do another 26,000 year stint here in a darkness sort of scenario. You knock yourself out. I'm kind of good with with moving on. This game.
Gosh, not a moment too soon.
It's boring.
If you have kids, how can you? This is the thing. It's like, when I woke up, it shocked me to learn how far this went and the severity of this. And, I cannot leave this planet until this is fixed. I can't leave my kids here this way. I can't do it. It's only getting worse. And I used to think that this was, anybody saying stuff like that was really, over the top, conspiracy, paranoid, whatever. But the evidence is way too clear. You can't refute it. If you look at it without the patriotism and all the other indoctrination, and it takes a while to get some of that out of your it only takes about 5 minutes once you really see and hear and read the truth, and it hits you.
It's an instant choice.
Suddenly realize, yeah.
It's an instant choice. It doesn't take a minute. It just takes I'm going to stand here. I'm going to choose to stand in truth regardless of the consequences, because only the truth will set you free. I don't know what part of that people don't get.
Well, they learn to vacillate and qualify the truth based on whatever benefits them best.
Well, yeah,
the system made it okay,
Yeah.
even
lazy
with
boy syndrome.
Their religions and stuff,
Yeah, lazy boy syndrome, I call it. While they sit back and suck on their aspartame Diet Coke, poison themselves, munching on a bag of Doritos. It's made by a company that aids and abets and all sorts of nasty little things. And they all do, watching their 60 hertz programming as the carrier waves from the CIA come across and, fill them up with all sorts of beautiful information that they have no idea, and they manifest it. And, of course, everything else around them while they're asleep, while you were sleeping, you were being programmed. And until they snap out of it, honestly, Pat, you know this. I know this. There's nothing we can do, or more
I remember
accurately.
myself. I sort of felt like something was going on. But once I was hammered, once I got crushed, things weren't adding up. Why after all my life as a good little citizen, paying taxes and all of that bullshit. Why, when the rug was pulled out from under me and I was physically, adrenally smashed, the whole thing from working my ass off 24/7, why is it that the IRS or the IRS and the state franchise tax board came after me with both barrels, and no matter what I told them, no matter how I explained, there was no freaking mercy, none whatsoever. They were the worst of all, and it was like, I don't get it. Like, aren't these people human? How come? I don't get it. Until finally I learned that they're corporations. They're not a state. They're not a government. They're not anything but a corporation whose bottom line is profit, and they've been fucking lying to us.
Yep.
These are all private trusts. They're, it's like a vacuum cleaner, just sucking the fucking life out of every family, and if you're over 50, if you haven't lost your job yet, you better hold on fucking tight, or you should find yourself a secondary self-employment means, because it's coming.
Absolutely.
You are not worth a shit, if you're not humping and really producing. And these corporations, I was a recruiter. I saw it happen. All these corporations offloaded their people, and they made the biggest profits of all time. And then silently, without, so you can't fire someone over 50 without, real cause. So they were able to get away with this in the mass exodus of throwing people out because of, poor profits and all of that bullshit excuse. So they made the largest profits, and then silently they would go to third-party hiring recruiting firms and have them be the go-between to go out and headhunt for other people who are already working. Unemployed people were not to be looked at. The words they used was runway. They have runway issues. There's not enough runway left.
Absolutely, and part of that is making sure that you always have part-time employees, that there's no seniority. The retirement assets stay with the municipalities or with the originating trustees, like Northern Holdings and Trust. And it's just a gimmick. It's a way to raise. You're taught that it's your fault you lost your job. You must have done something wrong, behavioral issues, whatever. It's just the funniest thing, because we've been taught to be bad boys and bad girls and think that we're bad boys and bad girls. But it's an industrial complex. It's a means of generating revenue. It is for their profit, not yours. Everything's for attorney, of attorney, by attorney. And everybody needs to realize this, that you're not bad. You've not done anything wrong. When your employer comes to you and says, oh goodness me, we've been audited by the IRS, and now I need to make you a W-2 employee, you need to look at that and realize why you're being cut off from being a contracted employee, because this is the consent that they need. And at this point in time, when they contact you and tell you that you need to be on W-2, I can guarantee that your bank account's been raised. I can guarantee that you're going through something else, such as a foreclosure, and you're really hurting, so you're going to rush right out and be a W-2 employee. This is the consent they need for you to enter into contract with them. Don't contract with them. Find other
Well, the other thing they do on that is they'll actually use you under a salary to work overtime that they won't pay you. I mean, it's all sorts of abuse that they play once they get you in a certain compromised position.
Absolutely.
And we always want to please. We want to please, and we want the pats on the head. We want our employer to, think well of us, because that, the carrot and the stick. And at the end, you get the stick. Shove up your ass.
Yeah, I was going to say, not generally where you like it,
Right. No lube.
I just took the stick back, and I go out and stir all the big pots with it. That's what I do. They don't like me too much, that's pretty evident in the actions they've taken against me over time. But again, that's another reflection of the demons within ourselves. So until we confront these demons, they're going to haunt you. And
well, isn't that true?
Yeah, it's entirely up to. I said the other day, get off your collective asses and actually, start taking responsibility for everyone else instead of yourself. Then you'll start understanding where this game is really played from. I get weary of the paradigms that people get stuck in.
Well,
And we've got Bo on the line finally, barring all of these issues. How are you both?
Okay, how's everybody?
Good. You know that, last night's show was awesome.
You guys need to speak up a little more.
Uh-oh. Well, last night I noticed that this show was awesome when I was listening, and you had so much to share, and I came here and asked you if you wanted to come on and talk about what's going on with you. And the floor is yours.
Well, I was just in a bit of a ranting pit there, I guess, for a while. I guess partially due to sleep deprivation brought on by some of these terroristic activities from these quasi-governmental agencies and their minions. It's just one of those things, every once in a while we'll get back in the corner, and it's kind of like what I'm feeling now. However, I've made the record, notify everybody. Everybody's in the loop. Their, crimes and such are on record, and everybody's been notified, including the House of Lords and risk management, basically the minions' bosses. So, I feel that, what you've helped me learn how to do here is put me in the best possible position I could be. We're just at a one of those junctures right now, fork in the road, if you will. And I'm definitely seeing that mentality that Pat was talking about with the corporate entities, these judges, attorneys, sheriffs, prosecuting attorneys, corporate counsel, in other words, the board of governors, and your city board of governors. I mean, they're just all like with the same corporate mentality. You call there, you're never able to talk to anybody on the phone besides the receptionist, secretary. I'll take a message. He's not in right now. He hasn't had time to look at it. It's just completely the opposite of what's spelled out in the General Welfare Clause, which we brought into both my cases on the county Superior Court and the United States District Court case level. And it's easy to see that they made a fraudulent assignment. I mean, just think about what's going on here and think about the General Welfare Clause. The people were to benefit from corporate, welfare and taxes, and we allow them the privilege to be here, and exchange was that the people were to benefit from that. Now they've completely turned it upside down. Mirror image, they love this sort of imagery too, I think. And it's completely the opposite. Now the corporations get tax refunds, like Facebook got some kind of massive tax refund. They don't even pay taxes.
And you're referring to the General Welfare Clause of the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clauses 1 and 2, right?
Correct.
Okay, and in your case, for the people that don't understand or realize what that is, the League of Nations came in under Article 12 of the Articles of Confederation, and what they've done is they assigned the debt onto the United States and maintained it as pledge and charge against you, the United States as a whole. And in Bo's case now, what you've done is you've done a notice of fraudulent assignment to maintain that was fraud, and then you did a proclamation and assignment to maintain that now we're going back to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1 and 2 of the Constitution, whereby every human being, the United States, is to be maintained on general welfare. Is that the gist of it?
That's right. I didn't really want to make this case all about me and the education that I've been gaining here from your insight and reading materials, which I'm still way behind on, by the way, but side issue, I've been able to learn enough to, see how things are really, or at least it's starting to become clear to me how they're starting to work. But the point of the matter is that I wanted to bring all of us people here in, because we're all suffering. We're all getting foreclosed on. We're all getting kicked out of our homes. We're all getting shaken down by rogue policy enforcement agents for going 5 miles over the speed limit, for having expired tags, being coerced into contracting with driver's licenses, marriage licenses, and at the same time, while we're trying to be good boys and good girls, they don't care. It just makes them want to come back after you all the more because they see how you are susceptible to their mind control, I guess, for lack of a better word.
But they're so sad. Right now you're maintaining corporations on welfare. In the 14th Amendment, you were told that the corporation is a person. Aren't you supposed to take care of it?
Well, as long as I guess if they would uphold their end of the deal, wouldn't you say that they pretty much abrogated the contract anyways?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they've taught us corporate psychology, and so we're feeling bad for these corporations. We're feeling bad for what's his name with the bad hair, Donald Trump. We're feeling bad every time they go bankrupt. Well, they lay it across the federal state at the core level. That's what a core bankruptcy is. A non-core bankruptcy lays it on the municipal level. And when they lay it across the federal level, you're paying for that. You're keeping Donald Trump on welfare. This is what Friedel's rule maintains. This is what the first and second welfare theorem is. It maintains corporate welfare. Stop looking at each other when somebody's getting, $100 a month in food stamps or going to prison, because that's nothing. You're maintaining Donald Trump on welfare. These things are horrifying, and this is humanity being slaughtered and slain and raised to maintain the first and second welfare theorem under Friedel's rule. And it's all guaranteed by consent. You keep consenting. You claim the name, copyright. You're not dropping the name. You want to defend that title, and that's a requirement of the corporate welfare theorem. Now, back to your notice of fraudulent assignment and proclamation and assignment. Did anybody argue that?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, no, they didn't argue it. They just came back with statutory mumbo-jumbo, case law that doesn't apply. It's absurd, really. They think they have any standing, and they can't even make an argument. They don't even want to touch the public law. I mean, it's obviously a corporate schematic when you go into these commercial courts.
Absolutely, and the neatest thing is that here they are. This originated with them trying to post you in violation of the Treaty of Amity, Commerce, and Navigation. And what had happened is you pushed back on them and said, hey, don't post me. I'm not consenting anymore. This is a violation of 18 U.S.C. 1342. And what happened? Did they stop posting you?
Pretty much. It slowed down. I mean, no, they're still trying, especially the courts. The utility bills, they made I sent out a utilities letter, which was somewhat like the notices that I sent to some of the bigger boys, like the what we call the EFers, and they're the 7 inspector generals, to let them know there's been a mistaken identity. But the utilities companies' computers will not operate in upper and lower case. I think that's by design. They'll make some attempts at changing the, like adding the thing that we insist on, at least in my position, is temporary post location, second line. And, I think the power company tried to do that in the third line, and 3 or 4 calls, and they still won't get it right. So I have to keep sending stuff back through the mail, unacceptable mail as per USC, 18 USC 1342. Yeah, so but the junk mail's definitely tapered off, so that's a good thing. I guess the next stage is get rid of that mailbox altogether.
With the violation of the Treaty of Amity, Commerce, and Navigation, when the court came back and attempted to post you again after you dissented lawfully according to the Treaty of Amity, Commerce, and Navigation, you're evidencing their crimes. And part of that, and the reason I'm against OPT, is under UCC, everybody's leaning everybody up, and they're not evidencing crimes. They're not doing anything according to the public law. And so they're saying it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. They're not evidencing entitlement. The rule under Rule 8 of the Federal Civil Procedures Rules maintain that you have to evidence entitlement to these claims. And under UCC and under what OPT is doing, they're not evidencing the title. And in your case, it's been perfect from start to finish because you've evidenced a violation of international law, which is the Treaty of Amity, Commerce, and Navigation. We've gone further into the case here, January, February. The bank actually stopped moving against you in December. And what has happened since then is the judge is still moving forward as his own volition because he's got a personal interest or for personal gain in this under 28 U.S.C. 455 and 453. He has taken an oath to discharge his liability according to the bankruptcy, and that's what the judicial oath is. They're discharging their debt by putting you into court process. And when this judge injured you and injured other members of your household since December of his own volition, you've evidenced his crimes. He's violating every known law, every known treaty, international law, code, statute, you name it, and all of this evidence is compiling against him. And at the point we're at now, it appears like the prosecuting attorney, he's trying to befriend the judge. And that's not going to work either because he's violating law because he's paid as a public employee through the Federal Reserve, through the IMS, to actually maintain at least the illusion of protecting humanity, and he's not doing that either. And so this evidence is just building up, and this is all on your court record. What is the case number for your court case if somebody wants to look it up?
Well, let's see. The one you can get access to on PACER would be the federal case, and many of the writings from the Superior Court will be found in there anyways. But anyways, yeah, it's 3:13, so 3:13 CV, as in Charlie Victor 052.
And the reason you're upholding public law is...
Hey, guys, I don't know if it cut out for everyone else, but you just started reading that, Bo, and only a couple of the numbers came out. Might want to read that again.
Okay, sure thing. 3:13 CV, as in Charlie Victor 052. There's a colon between the 3 and the 13, 3:13 CV 052. And the first entry was 90 pages, including the cover page. So it's not like some of these attorneys crank out 900 pages for some of this stuff. I think they get actually paid by the page or something, it looks like. We're adhering to public law, so the only thing we're holding them accountable for are their violations of what they're supposed to be adhering to under, what their position is and all.
Well, and you speak a lot about public law and the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act and the restrictive principle of sovereign immunity. And can you explain a little bit of that, or can we go into depth on that, and why you chose to go into the United States District Court rather than another venue?
Well, the state courts are so freaking corrupt. For one thing, as I find out, the more you push for what you would think would be a slam dunk and what's right and wrong, the more pushback you get, and battles on procedure and statutes and all this stuff that really doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with the public law. That's all their private little shenanigans. But so the minute I dissented, I guess for court record especially, according to the Treaty of Amity, Commerce, and Navigation of 1794, particularly Article 2, I became a sovereign state, and it was never argued. So, I rejected the hypothecation, the use of the last name, entitlement, and all that. And so now I'm basically holding my position as a sovereign state, which gives me the, ability under their law, and what you were referring to in the Sovereign Immunity Act, Foreign Sovereign Immunity Act.
And that's 28 U.S.C. 97, and the definition of the sovereign state is one adhering to public law, and the definition of a foreign state is one that's maintaining under acts of commerce and private acts. Uniform Commercial Code is only acts of commerce and private acts. Private acts are executive orders of a president or whatever else, and they don't have any immunity. They have no sovereignty acting under UCC. And the venue is in U.S. District Court. And you can find this on 28 U.S.C. 97. I suggest that anybody who's willing to do this reads the entire act and grasps it before they do anything further as to dissent, lawful dissent, and maintaining as the sovereign state. Now, there's other things that have been going on as well, because as the intimidation, the stalking, harassment, and torture has been maintained by this judge, he's feeling the pinch. The other day, we had gotten some people to fax in the information that was written in your case, and what we found is that his phone was all of a sudden out of order. It was shut off, and it was very interesting to experience what we were going through as we called around, and are you going to take care of this? What are your intentions here? And to find everybody passing the buck, and the low-key people that have been communicating with you, a deputy prosecutor without a name, secretarial staff without names, sheriff employees without names. I think that one was Debbie or whatever, and you were told, no, we don't give out last names or anything else here. So they're not identifying themselves. They seem to be hiding from you. What is your opinion on that?
Well, yeah, again, I think, like I was referring to earlier, it seems to follow that corporate schematic. There's no feeling, emotion, humanity in that. It's a set of rules and regulations and policies that you follow if you want to stay working at that office. You don't want the liability, because you, at the end of the day, as a secretary, making probably 1/10 or 1/20th or who knows, a lot less than a prosecuting attorney or the sheriff or whoever else you might be working for in that situation. they just want to go home and forget about the stuff at the end of the day. I believe is kind of my feeling on it. I don't know, but while they're at their jobs doing that sort of thing, they're an automaton.
Right. Just a useful idiot or a useful innocent. And part of the rules of the process is that you always ask them in some manner, are you sure you know what you're doing? Are you aware of what your function is? And throughout the process, you're teaching useful idiots, innocents, at the same time that you're going in there and you're determining through your own due diligence and discernment who is and who is not guilty of these crimes against you. And going through this with you and seeing this as it's happening in real time has been just the most beautiful, because you are giving them chance after chance, and you are making sure, without a doubt, who's actually coming against you. And, the judge revealed himself. We went after the attorney. The attorney took his hands out in December. The bank stopped moving forward, except for the judge has now, chosen to maintain a forward motion of his own volition. And so he outed himself on evidence in the court record. And that's pretty hard to overcome. What do you think?
Well, we're going to see it through to the end no matter what, because they haven't made our lives very pleasant, and having to just get into the court process in the first place. I suppose it's what was meant to happen. I'm sorry, Ken, it was a question on that kind of failed out there.
Well, it's been overwhelming, to believe you've had this onslaught upon you. We're looking out there at the masses, and there's not a whole lot of people standing up. They're waiting for something to change. They're waiting for somebody to do it on their behalf. But if we don't do this all at once, then they just pick us off one by one, and we can only do so much with the evidence. We've documented those crimes. The evidence is on record. However, it just takes a couple calls, and the record might disappear, and that's part of our process. We try to get this out in the public. We try to protect people as much as we can, as to the media presence and everything else, but like I said, everybody's got to stand up now. I mean, this is the make it or break it point. And if they only realize what you've written on their behalf, when you made the claim, it was on behalf of the United States. As the United States, you came in as the United States. You came in on a claim to maintain the trust for the United States on behalf of the United States. And you're not doing anything. You didn't leave any amounts for you. You didn't make any special provisions to take care of such a trust or to be the trustee. You don't want that in your hands. And the whole time reading you has been one of my most amazing experiences in all of my life, because this is you're quite a profound individual, doing this as the United States. It's not you. It's not just for your family. It's not just for your estate. It's not for you to hold or own. And I'm so thankful that I've had this opportunity.
Well, I'm trying to do things correctly and as eloquently as possible. I've not always been one to be a people person or dealing in the public, or especially dealing with these agents and agency, but I do want to stress, and I think it's important to be absolutely as courteous and as nice with these people as possible while still holding your ground. You don't back down and let them, get you into some kind of contract or misconstrue that you're answering to the name, that sort of thing. although, the truth here with what we're putting now is so hard-hitting, and they're looking at international law and things like that they're on the hook for. It doesn't matter sometimes how nice you want to be. It's a very curt, trite type answer I get sometimes from some of these people. And it's been a roller coaster ride, but I mean, we're not the bad guys here, so I just try to keep that in mind, and I don't want them, or this goes for any of you out there dealing with the situation, don't, fall into the trap of, allowing them to accuse you of phone harassment or anything like that. I think the faxes have been good and appreciated, too, for all the true believers out there who help out with faxing in the stuff, these agents.
My pleasure.
I think that's helped.
Now, I wanted to ask you, you've done battle in their kangaroo courts prior to this, haven't you? In the Commerce Court? So, did you notice, to me, reading that file, it was the difference between night and day. It was, truth. It was truth. You're operating in absolute truth here, pulling the covers off instead of going into the courts, playing their game, pretending everything is what they're trying to pose it as. You pulled the covers off.
Well,
I mean, for human trafficking, prostitution, the whole thing.
Right, and that's in the state court or the local court level. The judge was, the information against the judge maintained that he was violating RICO statutes on the lower court level or state level. And in the U.S. District Court case now, he's got them on the violation of international law and absolutely dissolving the Federal Reserve because they're not maintaining under the contract of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve Charter under 12 U.S.C. 341 says that the Federal Reserve is forfeited by either acts of Congress or by unlawful acts, and the evidence is all there. At the time that the Federal Reserve would dissolve, it would all revert back to the Treasury, which belongs to the United States. That belongs to the United States, all lowercase, which is all of humanity. And that's the claim that he had maintained in the U.S. District Court case cause. And again, with the human trafficking in the lower courts against the judge, the evidence is all there. The judge has been acting all by himself since December. And although he was provided evidence that he was perpetrating human trafficking, he was kidnapping, he was not doing what he was to be doing under public law. And he didn't argue this, and opportunity after opportunity, Bull gave them the option to back out, and they didn't feel like backing out. He just went forward as any other attorney does with impulse and with psychopathy. They're not aware, I do not believe, of the absolute consequences because they've been taught there's some kind of immortal being
right.
and have the force of the law behind them, but they only have the force of the law behind them. They're actually upholding the law, and there's not one single law that they were upholding under statute, code, international law, public law, or otherwise.
Well, I want to make one thing clear here. Going back to the beginning when I was writing up motions and submitting, evidence and such that, nothing was, I don't think I'm being any more truthful than I was then. I mean, I was doing the best I could at presenting my case, fighting for my life, fighting for my kids, fighting for my family, etc. But because I was, construed to be a citizen at that time, the way I was approaching the whole matter of admissions and how I wrote came in on my emotions, I was just batting my head against the wall. Yeah, even though I could be right all day long. I brought in the clean hands doctrine, don't matter. Bring in all these codes and statutes everybody else is violating, don't matter, They're just going to slap you around, and they slap you hard. And so I was determined to stay in there until I figured out what on earth is going on in these places, because these are supposed to be places of justice where people get help. Nothing could be further from the truth. The corporations get all the help, and they're the corporations. But anyway,
that was my point. I wasn't trying to. I wasn't intimating that you weren't operating in truth, trying to work in their little facade of justice. The point I was trying to make was that if you go in under any of their whether it's maritime or commerce, whatever, you're at their mercy, and there is none. And even there, they don't follow anything. You are at their mercy. So you have to kind of learn to play a game, and then still you're going to get fucked. But in this instance, working in the public law, you came out and they're trying to play their commerce game, and you just hit them with the absolute truth, and they can't even answer it.
Right. No, I just wanted to get that out on the record for everybody that what you folks are doing out there to fight your cases the best you can. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's probably better than 99% of the people already right there, because the rest are going to go out and try to find cash or debt notes somewhere so they can hire an attorney, because they're just trained and programmed that that's the thing to do, right? And we were never taught the law in school. We purposely brought
for sure
that obfuscated the truth of that matter. But so nothing that I did in the past, because I did tell the truth, back then as well. That all gets to come forward now. So it's not like it's abandoned. It's just we brought it forward, so it slaps them in the face now.
Right. And part of the human trafficking and other information that you've laid down is based on the borrower's covenant and is based on chattel mortgages. Do you want to go through some of that? Because that's something so integral that, here most people are not aware of the dead hand, the dead pledge that is put upon these papers, and who does it, and perhaps why you're being held hostage by court process. It is horrifying what they've done, but in your case, you've laid it down on the evidence, and like you said, they can't argue it. That is evidence of their crime. In your case, your parents had signed something, correct?
Yes, yeah. I went through, my mom finally got the mortgage documentation, since they paid off their home, and, they sent them all that stuff. But, yeah, we found basically the equivalent of the borrower's covenant, and the promissory note goes as far as to even call it. This is in 1972, or actually this is 71 here on the note. It says, secured by chattel mortgage and collateral security. They weren't even hiding it back then. I think now they're trying to make it a little more or less obvious. But that's on the promissory note, it says that. And then I believe it's the deed of trust. We found basically even more ominous language, that makes it essentially an unenforceable contract when you have a contract like this. But let me pull out some of these terms here. Let's see here. Together with all and singular hereditament and appurtenances thereunto belonging or in any wise appertaining to have and to hold the said premises as herein described with the parentheses onto the said party, the second party, and his heirs, and to his heirs, and assigns forever.
Right, forever. And that is a violation of Article 3, Section 3, Clause 3 of the Constitution. The Congress shall have the power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except in the life of the person so attained. And what's going on is based on that chattel mortgage and the deed of trust that you have, they have seized you, the heir, based on the deed pledge that your parents signed. And what most people need to be aware of is that if you don't have the borrower's covenant in your mortgage, or if you don't have a mortgage, it's likely that your parents did, and the state is still seized. So you need to enter that onto evidence and nail them for human trafficking, because that's what's happening now. They are human trafficking. They've seized you, the heir. They've seized your children, the estate. Issues under the law means descendants. So when you have an issue before the court, that's your descendants. Those are your heirs. Those are your children. And you need to be, with Black's Law, carry it with you everywhere. I don't care what kind of copy it is. We've got copies that we can get you electronically if you need them on Skype, but everybody needs to be aware of this terminology and the use of the dead language to subvert your authority and maintain you as a subject under this schematic.
Yeah, I can read the rest of this not too much longer, but you'll see how hideous this is. And the said party to the first part, for himself, his heirs, executors, and administrators, does covenant, grant, bargain, and agree to and with the said party of the second part, his heirs, and assigns that at the time of the delivery of these presents, he is well seized of the above granted premises in fee simple, that they are free from all encumbrances whatever, and that he will and his heirs, executors, administrators shall warrant and defend the same against all lawful claims whatsoever. When applicable, pronouns and relative words shall be read as plural. Meaning or neuter.
In the light, or with these with the delivery that occurred in this document, that is a bargain and sell deed as well. So they're not guaranteeing the title; they're asking you to guarantee the title. And upon that, because you're being delivered, again, it's a violation of the Treaty of Amity, Commerce, and Navigation.
They want us to defend that title, it sounds like here.
Absolutely. You're guaranteed.
Coerce us into defending it.
Absolutely. And you guarantee it by defending the title. That's the name. So every time you're brought into court, you're defending that title. No, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And what changed in your case is that you came in as the United States. You're not claiming the patented last name. You're not claiming it on behalf of you. You're saying, excuse me, you're holding the United States hostage by a legal process. You are maintaining us within the action of kidnapping, human trafficking, promoting prostitution based on the chattel mortgage and the borrower's covenant. And in this, it's going to stop, correct?
Well, if we don't stop them, they're going to kill us all. That's my feeling on the matter. But where's it going to stop?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the corporate structure, and they don't. The bottom line is the pocketbook. It is not people's health, safety. I'm sure if it came down to it, they might put us up at Fukushima or something, to keep their butts out of the sling. But that's about how warm they are.
Hey guys, I'm just going to jump in here if you don't mind, because I've got to go and do that webinar now.
Okay.
I just wanted to say a great big thank you to Tammy, Pat, and Bo. for making Thursday nights one of the most amazing nights of the week. I love sitting in and just grabbing the energy, and just being a little part of it. Thank you guys so much for everything you do. You have changed my world, and for that I am eternally grateful. And I will do the best to do the same in kind.
You have.
Much love to you guys, and the torch is held high.
I love you, Katie. Be well.
Love you guys.
Thanks.
You all be well as well.
Have a good webinar.
All right, hey, no problem. And you guys have the board, so I'll keep it open, keep an eye out for in case there's any issues. But anyway, I'll leave you to it, and much love. Take care, guys.
Love you too, honey.
Bye-bye.
It has been such an amazing journey. Everything that's been happening is just right on par. It's supposed to be happening. We're holding them accountable. They are feeling the pinch. They are sweating. They are hiding. This is Revelation. This is what it says in Revelation. This is what happens when you do what these attorneys have done, what these corporations have done, what these entities have done, what these individuals have done upon humankind. This will no longer be tolerated. This is known, it's revealed, it's on evidence. There's no other option. And again, the most beautiful thing was that when this judge recently went forward in Bo's case, specifically without a motion from the bank, without any involvement of the attorney, he acted to injure human beings. And in that, he divested himself as trustee of the Federal Reserve. That is what a judge is trustee of. When you appear in front of a court or a judge, you are a special deposit. Bank is bench in French. And the judge is sitting there at the bank, and as a deposit, he's required to at least present the illusion that he's protecting you, and under no circumstance is he with any authority or contractual obligation to injure you in any way. And what he's done is he took away the ability of the United States Incorporated to be a member of the International Monetary Fund, him and his cronies. And that to me has been one of the most profound things, because that's international law. This is the International Monetary Fund itself, and it has very specific articles of agreement. And in those articles of agreement, to maintain under the special drawing right and to get specialty, you must adhere to any and all isms. So if racism is in play, you'll get special drawing rights if you're adhering to political agenda. Feminism, you have to adhere to the political agenda. You have to follow the directives of the International Monetary Fund. And if you do not, you lose your membership in that entity. And this is what this judge and now this prosecuting attorney has done in the States, because they've acted to injure a protected class as well. And so, again, it has been the most profound and illuminating experience I've ever gone through in being able to write and, go with Bo through his case step by step and watch him as he stands fully, of course, resurrected, and is revealing them for what they are. And for that, I've never been more thankful in my life.
It's been breathtaking to watch unfold. It really has been a learning process, just inspiring, astonishing to see, and I just couldn't be more grateful for the effort. And on top of that, thanks for sharing this to get it out. I've been waiting and waiting. So glad, finally.
Yeah, I didn't want to jump the shark on it, but I mean, now's the time. And here's the good part about it. And I do want people to get this case as distributed amongst all the people as wide as possible, because all the stuff that has been unanswered and stands as fact, I want to see people bringing that in to their cases and also standing on it. This has got to go, to the next level where people follow up on it and keep pushing forward, because these guys need pressure.
Right, the snowball effect.
And not just pressure. The injury, because Bull went in on this claim as the United States, the injury that has occurred and is still occurring is against the United States. That's everybody. And the more people that can jump in on this, it is not anywhere near a class action suit. I do not do class actions. They are liable for the harm and injury and damage upon every single United States of being. And in that, each and every one, according to the Syncrenicity Act, Article 4, is to be returned to their whole state of being with means and interest. And that's what he's done. That is what he's done. He stood on the Syncrenicity.
This goes back generations too, right?
Absolutely. And this is why he didn't go in under statute. This is why he went in as the United States, because this gets everything back, the means and interests for every single United States of being. It has nothing to do with a class action. It is not under UCC. It is not under commerce. He's not claiming a little stripping. He's not claiming a little benefit for any United States. He's claiming the whole thing that was stolen from them back in 1666, back in 1100, when they separated the spiritual and the temporal.
So these actors are liable for anything they do that's outside the public law.
Absolutely.
And harming. Awesome.
Nobody puts their feet to the fire is the problem. We've had it for a long time because nobody knew.
Right. Well, that has to get out. Tell the case number again, so those who can get it on Pacer can start spreading it.
Okay, and I've got a PDF version as well. I'll get it to as many as I can on Skype, and you guys distribute around. It's case number 3:13. So that's 313 CV, as in Charlie Victor, 052. You'll find that it is under, my actual name. My endearment is only Bo, but I love my endearment Bo, so I'm not denying that. But it's under Kurt Martin, House of Alsop, ALSOP, and you'll see the Superior Court files in there, because we brought them back in because they weren't argued, and it's got a joinder of a divorce case and a foreclosure case. So it's very hard for them to swallow, because they don't want us to know that they're actually seizing the estate, which is all that. Children or house or, everything we have is in that estate. And they're doing a seizure of, foreclosure on that. It's
this needs to get out. This needs to be referred to as precedent for other forward actions, and we could actually start holding their feet to the fire and pushing forward to be made whole. Sure.
Absolutely. He's standing on as the United States, and it's pretty hard to do when there's a projected populace of 320 million, and you've got one individual or one entity standing on behalf of everybody. It's quite hard. And we've had other people that have filed as the United States that they're not following through. Sometimes they go in and commingle. We need to get behind everybody, because this is for you. This is as the United States. And in that, come on, make an appearance. Show that you're living out there. Show that you are living. Stop being dead. Stop allowing this to occur, because there are people out here that are they're putting their lives on the line for each and every one of you, including Bo. I mean, this is what he's done. He came in as the United States to charge them and indict them for human trafficking, kidnapping, promoting prostitution, violation of this law and that law. This is one Bo standing on behalf of the United States. Come on, everybody, and let's see what we can do here, because we're at the apex. They're not arguing anything because it's as evidence. There's no way.
1 minute. 1 minute to shut off.
Yep. Okay. Again, I want to thank Bo for coming on and explaining the case. Finally, I know that our classes have been just dying and waiting on all of this information to come out. Pat has a new class on Skype as well, Natural Healing and Alternative Therapies, open discussion.
Thank you both for your taking the heat,
yep.
for standing in the gap.
Yep. And you know, it's not that hard. Again, it's not hard. We just need the media presence. You know, we've got mainstream media subverting us, and we need to make this happen. You know, rather than leaving everybody on the herd. Join us next week for Leaving the Farm every Thursday, 7 to 9 Eastern. Love you guys. Be well.
Support Kate.
All right.